I think I found the comment section on YouTube. Man, customer service these days sucks. I come to the same parking garage for one of the job sites I work at, and every day, because I have a badge, so we're special parking. They don't like construction people on their parking jobs. It's like this nice, beautiful office where these pretty people come and go, and there's lots of Teslas and BMWs and things of that nature. Yes. And then you got this old scumbag in his work truck just mucking up the place, like all the fancy people. And every day, I go up and I wave and I smile, and she just begrudgingly walks over there and badges me in and looks at me, and I go, "Thank you, I really appreciate it." And she takes her time, makes sure that every last second of that walk, I'm just waiting there. And every day, I just smile. "Thanks, sweetie. I really appreciate it." I wouldn't call her sweetie. That's probably sexual harassment. But you get the idea. I try to be pleasant. Yeah, I haven't cracked a smile out of her yet. I'm telling you right now, that's a tough one. I digress. What are we talking about? What are we always talking about? Freaking steroids and drugs. I got a couple of comments, and they wanted me to talk about what I'm on, that kind of thing. And I've already made a few videos about this, but I'm always happy to discuss it. I want to start by saying I do not endorse steroids at all. Zero. I'm not telling anybody to go take steroids. In fact, I will go farther and say they are dangerous and they will kill you. They've killed a lot of people. The side effects are horrendous. Diabetes, organ failure, high blood pressure, stroke, degenerative diseases due to messing with your endocrine system, irreversible damage. Women, they'll give you male features. You can't come back from that. It'll start changing you physically. It will physically change your body composition, and if you don't like the way things are looking, you're stuck with it. It'll ape you out, and it's all bad. It is all bad. Now, and for the risk of what? Getting bigger and stronger? Oh, forget about like skin disorders like acne and rash and just all sorts of just pustules. I mean, you could really, it could go south on you fast, and it is not pretty. Now, with that being said, nothing is safe to take. Go online, go to Google, and just look up deaths associated with Tylenol. Seriously, go to Google and write deaths associated with acetaminophen, ibuprofen, Motrin is the brand name, aspirin. Just look up deaths related to over-counter pain medications, and you'll see some pretty horrific stuff. And if you just made a case off of what you read there, you could determine that it is just completely unsafe to take Tylenol at all. I believe that there's no such thing as a safe substance, but what it is it's determining the level of risk that you're willing to accept. There's low risk, there's high risk. Now, when it comes to things like TRT, hormone replacement therapy, doctor prescribed stuff, you're working with a doctor. You can't just go to the doctor and say, "I want testosterone, I want to be bigger." It doesn't work like that. Not to say that doesn't happen and there aren't doctors that'll do that, but generally speaking, a doctor will prescribe you something based on what he determines to be a deficiency or something that the drug can help fix to bring you in a normal, healthy range. Not above, not below, but normal, healthy. That is the whole point of a prescription. So if you are taking the drugs that are prescribed by your doctor, as prescribed by your doctor, there's no morality involved in it. It's like, would you consider it immoral to take blood pressure medication or cholesterol medication? No. A doctor's determined that you're out of spec. Either your blood pressure is too high, your cholesterol is too high. Here's some drugs. It's going to bring you in range. There's no morality behind it. It's not like you're cheating because you're keeping your heart from blowing up. Well, I look at it the same way with TRT. Now, we all know we go way above and beyond what TRT is, but essentially, you still want to maintain an acceptable amount of risk. Is there a good case for the use of steroids? injury recovery is a good one. If you look at like a lot of sports athletes, they get injured and they'll take performance enhancing drugs and peptides and things of that nature to heal those injuries. I think that's perfectly acceptable. As a matter of fact, I think it's smart. Now, it might be illegal for the sport they're playing, and then you can come and you can talk about that. But as far as like their quality of life and how they're going to live moving forward post-injury recovery, if there's something out there that's going to help speed that up and it's going to do it in a way that's beneficial, absolutely, 100%. Why wouldn't you, in my mind? Now, this is just my opinion. There's some people that have a morality issue with it, and that's their thing. Absolutely. You got to do what's right for you. Now, on top of injury, yes, obviously these drugs make you way stronger. But one of the things that I've always been trying to preach and push on people is that you don't need that much. You can take a very small amount to get a very good effect. And anything you take over that, while it does make the effect bigger, it becomes less and less worth it, or the risk factors move closer to being unacceptable the higher you go. So my goal is always to do the minimum amount for the minimum efficacious amount. Like efficacious meaning you actually get the effect that you want from it. So there's an amount you have to take to produce that effect, and it's going to be different for everybody, but generally speaking, it starts with the lowest dose, and then you work from there. Now, I know guys, I think one of the reasons why steroids has such a negative connotation is because it's very, very easy to overdo, and it's very psychologically addictive. Some of the anabolics and things like that are available have a psychological effect to it, because a lot of them have acute strength gains. You've noticed effects almost immediately. You see physiological differences in the mirror. You maybe look a little bit bigger after a workout, or maybe a little more cut. You get addicted to that. It's really like a lot of us bodybuilders, powerlifters, we have body dysmorphia. So anything that you get a noticeable effect from, it's hard to say, I'm not going to do that. It's really, you imagine you go to work and you walk in and people are like, whoa, you're looking real big today, man. Like, what are you doing? Whatever you're doing, it's doing, oh, okay. It's nice to hear. And then you stop taking it and nobody looks at you, pays attention to you anymore. For a lot of us, that can be very difficult. And you get addicted to it. And then for a lot of us, I don't know if it's youth, hubris, but they're just not concerned with long-term ramifications. So they'll keep doing more and more and more, because the strength and the effect that they get is, sometimes doubled, tripled by huge amounts. And maybe you won't have side effects immediately, but they're coming. Just like anything, if you're overdoing it, you're hurting yourself. This is why I always preach, you have to work with a doctor. You got to get your blood work done. You need to be able to talk to professionals to create a plan for yourself, and you need to stick to that plan. And you get tests to determine whether or not that plan's working, and you make adjustments. But it's all educated guesses. You're not just shooting from the hip. You're not turning yourself into a science experiment. Everybody thinks that I'm on this huge mountain of drugs because I get really good effects from it. But I'm telling you guys, a little bit goes a long way. Now, you look at a guy like me, my body type. I'm naturally stocky. If I didn't work out or train at all, did no lifting whatsoever, no drugs, no lifting, nothing, and I had a decent diet to maintain a reasonable body fat percentage, I would look fairly stocky. I would look like I at least go to the gym. I always have. I always have that kind of like, low-key muscle look to it. Not so naturally, when I introduce something like that into my system, I'm what's called a hyper responder. I don't need much. I could barely take anything, and I get effects from it. So you would think, well, that could be me. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Here's the thing, you don't know. I know people that take mountains of crap and they're killing themselves, and they've gotten almost nothing out of it whatsoever. They don't look good, they don't lift well, and a lot of that's bad training, bad diet, and other poor decisions. And they just think that taking more and more and more is going to equate them turning into some kind of an elite lifter when they're not regimented in any other way in their lives. And it's just like, it doesn't work like that. You have to, I'm on a very strict regimen and a very strict plan, and I stick to it. Everything is metered, everything's measured, all the weights are recorded. I know how many calories I've had. I know when I'm doing fasting, I know the exact moment I'm supposed to eat, what I'm supposed to eat, when I'm not. Like, I might not watch my diet, like, as far as, I'm not super strict on, like, the types of food I'll eat, but I know what I'm putting in my body, and I know how many calories it has, and I know how long I need to do whatever. I keep track of all that stuff. And so that way I can enjoy eating some junk here and there, you know what I mean? Like, we could talk about diet, that's a different video, but the point I'm trying to make is I'm a very measured, data-driven person, and I go by numbers and statistics. So why would it be so unreasonable to think that I'm not approaching PED use and things of that nature in the same way? You know what I mean? Like, these guys, they leverage that I'm just taking a bunch of drugs. Well, you don't know what you're talking about. And I don't think that I would get the same benefit if I did do it like that. I think the way I'm doing it is not only responsible, I can get longevity out of it, and I get the desired effects. It also helps me recover from the injuries that I've sustained through work and through training. And I have a job. Man, I was walking the site the other day, and I stepped on a rock and I twisted my ankle, and that's just a normal course of action throughout the day. And that's an injury that could prevent me from being able to squat. So what did I do to heal that? I took peptides. Healed it right up. Things like that, I believe modern medicine can vastly improve your life, especially as you get older. And if you're careful about it, and you go through a doctor, and you get your blood work done regularly, there's nothing immoral about it. As a matter of fact, I think that personally, I think you're foolish not to take advantage of it. If you want to look at it like that, guys say that steroids is cheating, as if we're competing somehow. When I'm thinking, well, why would you suffer the effects of aging and all that entails if there was something that would help alleviate that? Why wouldn't you? Why would you not take advantage of that? Or at least explore it? You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be off the table. All I've ever wanted people to do is think for themselves. Do not let the opinions of other people dictate what you choose. Why would you take health advice from a guy that hasn't changed his pants in 3 years? You know what I mean? As opposed to talking to a doctor or somebody that's at least had experience with this kind of thing and has actually used it and worked with other people that have experience with it and have actually used it. And we have physical therapists at our disposal. We have high-end professional trainers. We have dietitians. We have, just a myriad of health professionals that we surround ourselves with and can get useful information from. And so you can make informed decisions as opposed to random people on the internet that don't like what you're doing because whatever, they can't do it. You got to think for yourself, my friend. That's the whole point of this. Now, this is kind of droning on, and it's going longer than I want. And I know that a couple of you guys wanted to know exactly what I'm on and what I'm taking. So I'll keep it short. When I'm not competing, in between competitions, I'm taking therapeutic testosterone, usually between 130 milligrams on the low end to 200 on the very, very high end. I've never that high. Usually I think the highest I've got is 170, but it could be in that range, and that's based on blood work, to bring me up to right around 1,000 free testosterone. On top of that, I take 200 milligrams of masterone. Masterone's an anabolic steroid. It's 4 times more androgenic than testosterone, and it helps negate some of the potential side effects that you get from testosterone in regards to estrogen aromatization. It negates that. Now, there's other risks that are associated with masteron, but if you keep that dose really low, I believe that the risk is acceptable enough to where you could do it long term. Again, that's still going to go by your test that you take regularly with your doctor, so that if things start getting out of whack, you can make informed decisions and adjustments. When I get ready to compete, I take Anadrol. One competition I took Anavar, but historically it's been Anadrol. Anadrol, the lowest dose is 50 milligrams. I take the lowest dose when on the days that I train. So that's not even every day of the week. I take it like a pre-workout. As I get closer to competition, 4 weeks in that area, I bump the testosterone up to 250 a week, and I bump the Anadrol up to 100 a day on the days I train. I still don't take it on the days I don't, because of the acute effects. And on competition day, Anadrol is usually like I would take that like an hour or two before I go, and then you get the effects from that. And then it is what it is on game day. Now, this competition coming up for Worlds, I've been talking with some people, and I am considering doing a few things that are a little bit stronger this time. I haven't made that decision yet, but we'll see as we get closer to competition. But I'm going to go all out on this one. So we'll see what that entails. But when I make that decision, I'll let you guys know. Absolutely. I'll 100% tell you exactly what I'm planning on doing. And I don't care. There's no morality in it for me, because I'm competing in an untested division where we all have the same advantages and disadvantages. And if you don't like it, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I'm not doing it for you anyways. And not to be rude, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that guy I don't need to do anything. Like, I don't answer to you, and I don't know you, actually, now that I mention it. Just some guy screaming about what I need to be doing. He doesn't know a thing about me. And take from that what you will. But if you guys have any questions, hit me up.